All right, so now we got Francis Ngannou versus Deontay Wilder, rumored to be in some kind of negotiation or some kind of talks. I think that's an electric fight. I would love to see that. What do you think?
I would love to see it too. And I think that if there's a heavyweight boxer that Francis can beat right now, it's Wilder. Because
For sure.
for one, Wilder, he's not the most experienced boxer when you look at the landscape of the top 10 in the division, right? He started pretty late in his life boxing. He's just had success because he had that equalizer, the power, right? But on the flip side, he's on a very bad losing streak because he has consecutive bad KO losses.
Bad, yeah.
Like he lost to
The
what was
Asian
that?
dude, big Asian
The
dude,
Asian dude, and then the guy from New Zealand.
lost to both of them. Never heard of the
Arthur,
dude.
Arthur, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He got knocked out. He's on a bad tear right now, right? So if there's a guy for Francis to finally get a boxing victory against, it's Wilder.
Did Francis lose all of his boxing matches?
Yeah, he only had 2, but I mean, he arguably beat
Tyson, right?
Tyson. He arguably beat him, right? But against AJ just showed how much of an amateur Francis truly is, right? And for whatever reason, Francis, he didn't have that same confidence that he had against Tyson, right?
Which is crazy. Tyson's a way better boxer than AJ.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah, he just didn't have that confidence. But I will say that if he does fight Wilder and it goes in a similar fashion to the AJ fight, he better put them boxing days in the rear view because it's a wrap.
If he can't beat Wilder, but I will tell you this though, we're looking at 2 guys who have some of the hardest hands of the modern day era, period, out of anybody in the world.
Yeah.
We're talking about Deontay Wilder has one of the greatest right hands to pretty much ever exist. If he catches you with that right hand, you're through. Same thing with Francis Ngannou. He's majorly heavy-handed. If he catches you with any of his hands, you're through. So, like, we're talking about 2 dynamite firefighters that if any of them hits each other, it could be lights out. So to have them fight each other is kind of crazy. And it kind of makes you wonder, could it even go 12 rounds with those kinds of power punches?
It's that fight, honestly, bro, if I had to, like, I ain't no betting man. But if I was, it's not going past, I'll be generous, 3 rounds. Because I feel like the first round is going to be a filling out process, right? There's going to be some caution between the 2. But then round 2, round 3, I think it ends. There's too much power on both corners for it to go.
Not enough chin on either corner.
Exactly. So it's not going to go past, in my opinion, 3 rounds. If somebody getting finished within that time frame.
And what do you have it, like 50-50, or do you think it's like leaning towards one or the other? I kind of got it like 50-50 because I don't think Wilder's a great boxer, but I mean, I wouldn't say Francis Ngannou's a great boxer either. So,
yeah,
but he can be composed and keep his hands up. So can Wilder, kind of. I got it like a 50-50 fight, I think.
I got it 50-50 as well. But I think, obviously, Wilder needs this win even more because boxing is his sport, right? So you don't want to go out on another KO loss, and you don't want to do it against an MMA guy, right? So the victory is more needed on Wilder's side. Francis, if he loses,
this would be 3. He'd be 0-3 in boxing. I mean,
he needs it. He only needs it if he intends to continue boxing.
Yeah.
But other than that, he don't actually need it because he's not a boxer, right? He could go back to the sport that he dominates, MMA.
He doesn't really fight MMA often, though. He hasn't fought in forever, right?
Nah, you know what's funny? I saw this post, right? And it was talking about the deal between Francis and PFL. And it was like PFL gave Francis, PFL Africa, they put him on the board. They gave him 2 boxing fights. They gave him X amount of millions of dollars. And then in return, Francis gave them 1 MMA fight. And then he didn't attend any of those PFL Africa events. That he was so hard, he was pressing so hard to get that, right? He didn't show up to any of them events. He instead of preparing for an MMA fight right now, he's talking about another boxing fight. So it's like, when you look at the deal, Francis is pretty selfish, right? So
that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you that the UFC was right to a degree. When they were saying that Francis, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember everything they said, but essentially Dana was saying, like, Francis is pretty selfish. He want. but he wasn't willing to give to make it a mutually beneficial
Yeah, and that's the
transaction.
thing. That's how in life it has to be a win-win. It can't just be I take, I take, I take. You have to think win-win. But
And
when you come from the other,
This
huh?
PFL deal is showing that there was some truth to what Dana was saying.
Yeah, because he's milking them for everything.
Everything,
And
bro.
they don't have it like that, which is why that blows me away. Like the fact that they spend the kind of money that they spend on these fighters, and I'm sure they're still not doing those kinds of numbers to even make that make any sense to this day.
Yeah, Francis really he really robbing a bank right now. It's crazy.
I mean, but that's what happens when you have a name. When you have a name, and you know what? It's easiest to become a superstar as a heavyweight because for whatever reason, throughout history, all the legends are heavyweights. If you think about it, like the legends, like not all of them. I guess you got Sugar Ray Leonard. You got a lot of boxers that were like smaller, but like the greatest. When you think about the greatest, like household names,
Yeah,
that
you
like
got
your mom knows about.
Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, Tyson, Ali, Frazier,
You're
Foreman. You
thinking
got
about
those
the
guys.
heavyweights, Foreman, exactly, Douglas, all these guys. You don't think about. We know about the Sugar Ray Leonards and the Roberto Durans and all those types of guys, but not the common person. So Francis Ngannou kind of got to taste that heavyweight superstardom because he did some good things, but I wouldn't say it's like the best things in the entire world ever that we ever seen. And for the superstardom that he has, is kind of like crazy, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also I think it was just he took advantage of a perfect opportunity. PFL, they're so thirsty, and they really like that Don Davis guy. He's like super thirsty. That's how he comes off. Like he wants so much to be Dana White #2, and he's not that guy. He's very cringe, man.
It
And I
sucks
feel like
because you cannot think about it as like a person to person basis. Like we need this guy, with this guy will become super famous. No, you got to think
I
about
know
structuring good business, like
Francis became even more famous because of the boxing fights, but it was a one-sided transaction, right? I would assume that PFL thought a bit like, okay, Francis got some buzz. He's the lineal heavyweight champion of the UFC because he never lost the belt. We get him over here, it's gonna work out for us. And in reality, PFL is honestly worse off than it was before because they just canceling more events. Meanwhile, Francis' star just keeps, nothing.
time.